It's great to see everyone here. I'm seeing a lot of Slavic names for our Ukrainian Reach webinar. We will give it 1 or 2 minutes for everybody to join. Make yourself comfortable, grab yourself a drink or a cup of coffee, and we will start shortly. So once again, welcome. Thank you for joining. My name is Thomas, and I will guide you through this webinar. We have 60 minutes to walk through the latest developments about Ukrainian Reach. We will not repeat what we already covered in our previous webinars, and we will try to focus on what is new and on the practicalities of getting compliant and what you should be focusing on now. Here with me today, I have Anton Mukomela and Inessa Kiristaeva. It is a great pleasure to have you both here. Welcome, Inessa, and welcome, Anton. Anton is connected directly from Ukraine, so he's best positioned, not only expert-wise, but also geographically to walk you through this. So first of all, some house rules. We registered a branch office in Ukraine, so we have global operations, and we specifically for the Ukrainian Reach registered a branch in Ukraine to be able to help everyone with anything that is needed. And for this webinar, you don't need to take any notes. We will get you covered with the presentations. All the slides that you will see today, you will get in a follow-up email. Please feel free to ask any question, and we will have a special dedicated Q&A session also in Ukrainian language at the very end. If you have any question, feel free to ask either through the Q&A window, or you can also ask directly. You can turn on your microphone and speak directly. And we always prioritize questions that are asked live, but we will try to cover everything. If we cannot make it directly in the webinar, we will get back to it and send you an email with our popular Q&A sheet. So you will get all the questions answered. So feel free to ask. If you need information about other topics, you can watch our webinars. We covered a lot of different topics resonating through the regulatory world. And you can meet our friendly team of roughly 20 experts, including Anton and Inessa, who are here with me today. And you can get back to us with any questions you might have. And specifically for the Ukrainian Reach, I can see that this is your phone number, Inessa, right?
Yes.
So if you have any questions specifically about Ukrainian Reach, you will reach Inessa on this phone number or at our dedicated mailbox, ukraine@regartis.com. Before we get to the presentations, I would also like to ask you, what is your background, whom we have in the audience? It will greatly help us in prioritizing the questions for the Q&A session, and also help us to see what we should focus on either in the next webinars or during our presentations, what topics should we cover in more detail. So if you can, please indicate whom you represent. If you represent manufacturers, importers, only representatives, consultants, or non-Ukrainian companies, or anybody else. Okay, and I think we can get to the presentations. That's why we are here. So I would like to introduce Inessa Kiristaeva, who will start with the introduction into the topic, and then Anton will follow with the practicalities.
Thank you, Tomasz. Thank you for introduction. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Also from me, thank you for joining us today, because it's a pleasure to welcome you on this session of Ukrainian chemical regulations. On behalf of all entire Regartis Ukrainian team, we will be pleased to guide you through the key steps of achieving compliance, with their particular focus on what is practically relevant right now, and this is pre-registration. Pre-registration plays the vital role now in allowing the legal placement of chemicals on the market, and also for enforcement, which is coming in 2026. Yes, as Tomasz mentioned, it's already our second webinar dedicated to Ukrainian REACH or Ukrainian chemical legislations, and we are not going to repeat everything that we said before. If you haven't seen it yet, we highly recommend to watch it on our YouTube channel, and you can see the link on the slide. In that webinar, we covered all the main information about the legislative hierarchy, about we provided the links to the texts describe who are the authority and what are the deadlines for registration. So we also compared Ukrainian REACH with European REACH in details, provided data requirements for pre-registration and registration. We calculated the registration fees, and also we spoke about compliance options for non-Ukrainian manufacturers, what are the pros and cons acting through the only representative. So we are not going to repeat this today. Instead, we will build on that foundation and providing further clarification and focusing more on practical steps and the pre-registration phase, which is now fully active. So what happened? What happened from February? First of all, in April, long-awaited pre-registration form and the form for classification, label, and notification were published on the website of the Ministry of Environmental Protection of Ukraine. And already in May, we successfully submitted several real cases. So we really mastered the practical steps and learn how to collect information, how to fill the pre-registration form, and how to coordinate the submitting and getting the confirmation that the form is submitted. And in June, we are happy to share our success. Regardless, Ukraine received first pre-registration numbers. So now we can really say that with confidence, we can say that yes, pre-registration works and we know how to do it right. So today's webinar will be, let's say, consist of two parts. So in the first part, I will explain like more theoretical things about the pre-registration, about some clarification for these obligations of CLP notification, also toxic chemicals permit, because we were getting this question before the webinar. We will speak also about expected enforcement system under Ukrainian REACH and CLP, because this will be different from the system that we used to in Europe. And the second part of this presentation will be absolutely hands-on demonstration. So we have to roll up your sleeves and see in practice how the pre-registration form is filled, what is important to mention there, especially about identification of the substance. My colleague Anton will walk through the CLP notification form also, and in the end he will show the example of the compliance safety data sheet according to Ukrainian REACH, and will draw your attention to the most relevant and the most critical sections, which will be the subject of control very soon. Next slide, please. So let's now take a closer look at the timeline, because we all know what was written in the text in this ministry resolution, but now it's pre-registration phase, so it is open. It's important to know that there is no possibility of extension of pre-registration deadline, because this process is working and like nobody is speaking about possibility of extension. I should mention also that the late pre-registration is possible for those substances which will be placed on the market after the January 2025, 26, sorry, and you will have 6 months to submit your late pre-registration. The first registration deadline targets the substances above 1,000 tons and the substances which are cancerogenic, mutagenic, and toxic for reproduction, and the aquatic toxic substances. And this deadline is set for January 2026 as well. And to be honest, based on the current implementation pace, this timeline already seems quite unrealistic for full registration to be achieved without strong guidance and coordination. So, of course, the second and the third deadlines, which are set for 2028 and 2030, it gives more, let's say, space and more room to be ready for registration, but we can say confidently that the negotiations and information that the registration deadlines can be postponed, this is real. This is real. So the question now is be in time for registration. Don't wait. If you plan to stay on the Ukrainian market, pre-register now. This is the open window for you now for the market in Ukraine. Now let's talk briefly about the pre-registration process in practice. Main rule, and this differs from European experience, it's pre-registration submitted via pre-registration form. It's one substance, one pre-registration form. There is no possibility to do the bulk pre-registration. Submission must be sent to the authority via email in the zip format, and it should be signed with the official electronic signature of Ukrainian entity. It is possible to send few pre-registration forms within one email. This is possibility, but indeed the system very sensitive for this technical issues such as pre-registration form itself and the electronic signature, which is officially authorized in Ukraine. System is functional, but still very basic. There is no automation or structured IT interfaces. Everything must be filled out manually, including uploading all the attachments, signatures, chemical identity, tonnage bands, all the contact information. It is manually submitted, manually filled, manually submitted, and also manually assessed by the authority. So based on the legal text, we should expect the answer in 3 days, but process takes significantly longer than 3 days. So this process is time consuming and also sensitive for the small errors. And this means that you really need to give time to fill the pre-registration for the substances of your interest. Please, we have on this point, we would like to ask you what your expectations of the volume of substances. How many substances are you planning to pre-register or register? This information will help us now to also draw your attention. Okay, so wow, more than 50.
Yes, I can see 20% of answers, more than 50. I think it is important to emphasize that if you have really dozens of substances and a lot of substances, you should really start early. And you should have probably started already on your pre-registrations because, as you will see, it's not as simple as we are used to from the European reach.
Yes, exactly. Yes. So it's 40% of our audience have more than 11 substances. So I would suggest to, let's say, half of audience that now listening to us to just start now to prepare for registration. Thank you. Close this. And so we complete pre-registration. That's a great first step. And now what to expect? So we expect that the authority will publish the list of pre-registered substances with pre-registration numbers. So what to do with this information? Now we don't know exactly, we just can think and discuss it. But first, these important uncertainties. Will the Ministry of Environmental Protection take the initiative and connect companies that pre-registered the same substance? Will it be any formal mechanism for that, or it's really unclear how it will be split the responsibilities which will fall on authorities or registrants? Then second, the perceived coordination by registrants. Will that be possible? Of course, some companies are already aware of the other companies working on the same, let's say, substances and may explore some informal cooperation to form the perceived and start to discuss the data sharing and get ready for registration. But again, it's quite difficult now to foresee how it can be done. And finally, if there is any chance that the IT platform will be introduced to support the SIF formation and data exchange similar to Reach IT, we know that still negotiations are going between like Europe and Ukraine about the IT SIF, so we really need to take a look and monitor what's going on. So these operational questions remain open. What we are doing, we are really closely monitoring them and keep our clients informed to be ready how to act. And now this is all I wanted to share about pre-registration in practice, and based on the requests of our customers, would like to give some clarification on some requirements. So you know, I'm sure that there are different types of registration according to Ukrainian Reach, or like so-called simplified registration and regular registration. And simplified registration is the one which is supposed to be used for the substances which are registered under European Reach. And also this is relevant for those who have these registrations. So it's for these registrants. But after more closer look, we understand that there is no any simplified registration. This term really simplified can be really misleading, because the only real and certain difference between these two types of registration is the low registration fee. And the concerning data sharing, preparing CSR, purchase of letter of access, that all will be strongly depending on who will be the lead registrant in this SIF. Will that be lead registrant who have experience and who have data access from Europe, or that will be a different company like Ukrainian company who doesn't have anything? So then again, the CSR should be bought or should be prepared again. So this is really important to understand that there is no really simplified registration under the Ukrainian Reach. So when you fill the pre-registration form, there is one question: if your substance already registered, like don't really put a big attention to that, let's say like this, because this will not really give big difference in the process of registration. Also, I would like to give clarification on the CLP notification. We were getting questions about that. It's important to understand that CLP notification relevant only for Ukrainian importers and manufacturers. So it's only for Ukrainian entities. And of course, information on the classification and labeling can be provided by the non-Ukrainian suppliers, and this should be done before 15th of November. Later, Anton will show also the form of CLP notification, so you will know more about it. And the last in this presentation, obligation toxic substance permit, that was declared as the big difference between European Reach and Ukrainian Reach, that there is another requirement, another obligation. I want to emphasize that this obligation is written not in the Ukrainian RISH, so not in the technical regulation, but in the main chemical law. And this requirement completely separate. It indeed doesn't have no tonnage threshold. And the list of substances which will require this permit will be determined only after the CLP notification process is finalized and the list of the hazardous or toxic substances will be published. And also within this obligation, the actors need to submit the CSR. And this is supposed to be submitted only after registration is finalized. So this is also the obligation which will come later, maybe in future when registration is done more, let's say, actual. But that is relevant only for the Ukrainian operators. And now I want to give some information about the enforcement and the Ukrainian chemical regulations. The main key message here that enforcement in Ukraine is expected not to focus on supportive and motivating guidances, but it's focus on penalties, and timely compliance is the key to avoid any problems. For those who are exporting and importing, that will be customs, and they are going to start enforcement from January 2026 because they can already check the classification labeling after November, the safety data sheets, and after end of January, of course, the pre-registration number. So that applies for exported imported chemicals. There is a state ECHA inspection of Ukraine, and this inspection mostly focus on the local chemical production and use and focuses on environmental compliance. And there are a lot of local on-site inspections who are carried out by the chemical safety authorities and labor protection inspectorates, and they are checking SDS, storage handling, and personal protection measures. So don't wait, start now, because on the authority radar, there are 3 obligations. Pre-registration, which should be done before end of January, safety data that should be compliant till 15 November this year, and classification and labeling till the 15 November of this year. So no time for last minute magic. Act now. And now I want to give over to Anton, who will provide this hands-on demonstration. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inessa.
Welcome.
Okay, good morning, all of you. I will share my presentation now. So I will talk about practical side of pre-registration and classification and label and notification, which must be submitted to the Ministry of Environment. As for pre-registration form, it is in Excel with macros, and it has some divisions, some sections, like section of legal entity, where the data about legal entity who's submitting should be provided. Section for substance simple identification, just the name and the CAS number of the most relevant identification number of the substance. Then a section for full identification of the substance comes. After that, a section for substance composition, which might be rather complicated for different substances. Also, there is a section for nanoforms and section for tonnage and full registration deadline. All the information is in the registration, of course, shall be stated in Ukrainian language, and the form is in Ukrainian only. The data which is stated in the form shall be as known by the submitter, because no documentary proofs are needed to be attached for such form, like analytical testing results, which proves some substance composition, for example. But I should say that the proper identification substance is very crucial, because the name and the CAS number of the substance will indicate the substance which is pre-registered, and thus transitional periods for this substance and for this legal entity is active. So when the registration deadline comes, and if you do not identify the substance well and properly, then there might be problems, because you have pre-registered not that substance that you are placing on the market. So put attention about identification of the substance. In the form, there are some cells that are colored in different colors, and they have different functions. For example, white cells should be filled with the free text. Rose text cells should be filled only by selection from the drop-down list. Some cells are violet, and in such cells, only hyperlink for a file should be made there. It concerns, in most cases, for only representatives, where the agreement of appointment of only representative should be attached to the form. And the attachment is made by such link in such violet cell. If the cells are gray, when some of selections are selected, in the drop-down list, some cells are shaded by the gray, by the gray color, and so these cells should not be filled, if so. Also, there are some buttons like Add Row, where if the button is pushed, the new row will be added to the tables. So that is the form. It's the first section, legal entity section. In this selection, in the first cell, we should select the type of legal entity. Is it legal business entity or just private entrepreneur, physical person? And depending on the selection, some of the cells down will be shaded or not. So in the non-shaded cells, the identification and contact data of legal entity should be done. Also, the supplier chain role should be selected for legal entity. And if now on the slide, only representative is selected, and then down cells are not shaded, so the data about foreign manufacturer of the substance who only representative represents should be added. And so in violet cell, the only representative appointment agreement should be linked. The next section is identification of the substance section. You should fill the substance name and CAS, and also fill all the identification data, like name of UPAC, name, other names of the substance, CAS number, other identifiers, like customs code, for example, molecular formula, structural formula, smiles, isomers, molecular weight, and also in selection you should select the type of the substance, like monoconstituent, multiconstituent, or UVCB substance, and class of the substance, that are inorganic or organic substance. And if UVCB substance type is selected, then obligatory is to fill the manufacturing process just in free text, because this is the main identification of the substance, of UVCB substance. It should be put at obligatory. And when such form is arrived to the ministry will check such consistency of the selections and filling of the sections. The next part, this is composition part. Here you should state the physical state of the substance, the degree of purity, and then main constituents should be indicated, impurities and additives of the substance as known for the submitter. If there are a lot of constituents for complicated substances, then you should push the button and add new rows in order to fill this information. The section of nanoforms. It is a big section, and in most cases, the nanoforms is selected as none. So the substance has no nanoforms. But if substance has such nanoforms, then you should select yes, and all this data will be not shaded and must be filled properly. This is such a geometry category of the nanoforms and percentiles and so on. Crystallinity and all of this information should be filled. It's a complicated task for nanoform, I should say. And then the last is the section of tonnage and the deadline, which should correspond. So we should put the actual tonnage mean for 3 years, or maybe estimated tonnage for future, and the corresponding deadline for this tonnage, where the substance will be registered. The last selection cell is all about, it's a question about if submitter has QSR or in vitro data for the substance. Yes or no, just need to be selected. And the date of the of such submission or fill in the form, I should say. As for C and D identification form, the key sections are the legal entity data section, just like in pre-registration. Sections for substance identification, which is different for pre-registration because that is product identifiers according to CLP or Ukrainian Technical Regulation, Classification and Labeling. Section for substance classification, which must be filled or selected for each hazard class. And section of CLLs, specific concentration limits and factors and ATEs section. And the last section is for substance labeling elements. I should say that in this form, most of the data should be filled by selection from the lists and not to be filled. Also, all is in Ukrainian. It is crucial for allowing macros in this form. There was a question about security measures in some companies which do not allow macros. I recommend to fill such form or on the home desktop tops or separate desktops with allowance of the macros, because such notification form will not be really filled and finished without macros. So about legal entity identification, I will pass because it's the same. And as for substance identification, that's a product identifiers of the substance. And as in CLP of Europe and as in technical regulation of Ukraine, product identifier should be the name and the index number in Annex 6 of the technical regulation. If the substance is present there. If the substance is not listed in the Annex 6, then name and the number in classification and inventory or registry. But as for now, there is no registry published. It will be made on the data after the submission of the CNDL notification forms, and based on this data, the Ukrainian CNDL registry will be created and published. If substance is not present in Annex 6 or registry, then the name and the CAS number of the substance should be stated in other cell, as you see. And if CAS number is not assigned to the substance and it is not listed anywhere, then only name should be stated in the last cell. As for section for classification, here all the hazard classes are presented in the big table. All the data should be selected, not put by hand. For each hazard class should be selected if it's classified or not, and with indication of the category. If substance is not classified according to class, for example, for explosive, like the first row in this table, then in the last cell of this row should be selected why the substance is not classified, about the reason why the substance is not classified. Like the data prove that classification criteria is not met, or there is no data that can be proved, and thus classification is not assigned. As in example, I made the choice of the flammable liquid category 1, like the substance is classified only by that class. So I chose that abbreviation of the class and the category and H phrase. In the next cell, there should be UH phrases, but it is not assigned for the substance, so I leave it empty. And it shall be filled for each class accordingly. The next section is for SCLs and factor and so on. In this cell, you should state specific concentration limits as known, but if SCLs are upper, then appear in Annex 6. So the substance is Annex 6 and there are SCL assigned, and the submitter developed own SCLs based on his data and knowledge that are bigger than those indicated in Annex 6. Then you should state it here. In this cell, next cell, you should state multiplying factors if they are assigned or derived. And the next row is obsolete, just leave it empty everywhere, every time. And the last section about labeling. So in the first cell, you should state index number or name index number, just product identifier, as I told before, or name of and gas and so on. In the next cell, we should select pictogram number, and in the lower cell, you should push the button to add the pictogram and select by the number of those pictogram. Push OK, and relative pictogram will appear in the cell. You can do it as much as you need for adding pictograms. They will be added just in this cell. And next, signal word should be selected as relevant hash phrases. They are all are there in the form. You just select that, and the whole phrase will appear. And then you should fill by hand 6 P phrases that you desire and you want to fill for such substance, as they should appear in the label of pure substance. And the next cell is about UH phrases. If they are assigned, then you should select relevant UH phrase and it will appear there. So I think that such forms are maybe simple, but when where you are feeling it by the hand, selection and so on, it takes some time. And if you have a lot of substances, then it's very time consuming to fill it by the hand. It's that forms are all secured, so you just can. I think it's not possible to make some IT programs that will help you to fill it properly in quicker way. So it must be done by the hand. And now for safety datasheet, I will close this presentation and open safety datasheet. We have good safety datasheet developed for Ukrainian market, and I will emphasize on some sections that should be really filled. First of all the links in the Ukrainian safety datasheet should be made to Ukrainian legislation, not European. About the date, about the version, and so on, it should appear, of course. So, shall I emphasize, I think, on section 3, because the requirements are the same as European and in Ukrainian as Ukrainian for indicating substances in section 3. But Ukraine has all specific own specific oils assigned for the substance, and if oil is assigned to the substance and the mixture is, for example, hazardous, then it should appear in this section. So you must check Ukrainian legislation, and this is the order of the Ministry of Health. And we will go down to the 8th section, where only Ukrainian oils should be stated in this section. Do not state other. You may, of course, state European or American oils, but it is not needed. The main thing that Ukrainian oils should be stated. As for section 11 and section 12, as in Europe and as in Ukraine, nobody want to fill this section. But for all the substances that appears in the section 3 in the safety data sheet, the data should be stated here. First of all, the data about toxikinetics, metabolism, and differentiation of the substance in the organism. For all stated substances, the data should be found and filled. You see, for every substance here, all the data about metabolism is there. And as here in 11th section, all the hazard classes for health are stated. And all the data about the substances that prove the classification indicated in section 3 of this substance should be made with the indication of method, species of the animals which were tested, the time of exposure, and the value. And of course, for some hazard classes like acute toxicity, the differentiation, so the exposure way should be stated separately. This is the section for acute toxicity, and it should be stated if the mixture, this substance is this safety sheet is for the mixture, so it should be stated that mixture is not classified according to this class or classified according to this class, and the proofs for substances should be here. Then the next class, this is irritation or corrosion, and again statement that mixture is not classified according to this class, and all data test results for the substances for skin irritation or corrosion should be here. And the next class, this is eye irritation, and this is a result of eye irritation test results with the method and species, and so on. So this section should be big, as big the list of the substances in section 3. The same is for section 12 about hazards for environment. We have here only one class with 2 differentiations, but the test results for different different aquatic species or group of species, yes, they should be stated here. Then the abiotic and biotic degradation for each of the substances should be stated here with the values like percent of the degradation of biodegradation, which proves that the substance is biodegradable or not biodegradable. The same is for bioaccumulation, like BCF factors, we call it KBK. This is BCFs. BCFs indicates the bioaccumulative potential of the substance, and for all of the substances should be stated here. For mobility in soil, the same way. I think that that's all. Maybe section 15 here, the Ukrainian legislation which concern this chemical product like mixture or substance should be stated, but the technical regulation on safety of chemical products or chemical or technical regulation, classification and labeling should not be stated here because it is stated in the safety data sheet earlier. And so in 16th section, all the abbreviations should be told and stated. As for ASH and UH phrases in section 16 should be stated if they are not stated in section 2 in the old hazard classification and labeling part. This is data hazard phrases that are stated in section 3 for substances, where classification are indicated. So I think that's all. You should understand the safety data sheet is not a formal document. It's a document that summarize all the hazards and all the safe use measures and risk mitigation measures. And good safety data sheet may be very useful for your customers. Also, safety data sheet in Ukraine is used by another legislation. For example, for s.r.o 3, Ukrainian s.r.o 3, like dangerous object identification and in many other ways, because this document is rather informative and can be used not only according to the technical regulations, but according to other legislation, but by other authorities. So pay attention when you develop and submit your safety data sheet to your customers. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Anton. It was a lot of information and it was really valuable. Seems like a lot of work. So I would like to get back to the timeline because we have had quite a few questions on the timelines. And Inessa, maybe if you can share the slide with the timeline. I'm not sure if there was everything clear and correct.
Yes, it's a third slide.
Because if seeing the workload, seeing everything that needs to be done.
Yes.
And if it really comes true that the enforcement authorities and the customs are ready from day one to check everything, I think it's good to have one more look at the timeline. So is everything clear? We had some questions on the registration of CMRs. So let's take one more look at that. Registration of CMRs needs to be done by 1st October 2026. Is that right?
Maybe
No.
Anton can help me because
Yes.
maybe that is January 2026, right,
Yeah.
Anton? Yeah.
January
Yes,
2026.
that's the
Okay.
of January 2026 for CMRs and aquatic toxic substances.
Okay. So
I
we
should
have
say
to.
also it is not realistic for now to 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 submit and make such registration. That's why I think that for some time it will be expanded, and maybe all of the registration deadlines will be expanded in order to make the possibility to make all this registration as for legal entities and as for the ministry to manage all of those registration. And as informational system is not available now, then without informational system it's not really realistic. But the pre-registration it could be made.
Yes, and pre-registration relevant also for CMRs and toxic aquatics, so for all substances. So
Okay, thank you. That was another question.
Yeah.
So thank you for answering that. So once again, pre-registration is available for all the substances, and that is the priority now because the deadline is 26 January. 26 January is also now the first registration deadline for the CMRs, aquatic toxic, and also substances above 1,000 tons.
No, substances above 1,000 tons, it's October.
Okay, so we will correct that. Thank you.
Thank you.
But still, as Anton mentioned, without functional IT system, it is likely that there might be some postponement. So in any case, we will be monitoring that and we will keep you up to date. We will inform you if there is some change, if there is some news. Okay, so these were the questions concerning the timelines. Let's get to more questions. There was a bunch of questions on classification and labeling. So I will share the screen. And before going into further questions, I just wanted to mention, because time is running up, I also wanted to mention that we will be covering Ukrainian REACH next April in detail at a conference in Prague. So it will be definitely one of the significant topics there. So you can already take a look at the preliminary agenda and book the dates. So now the classification and labeling questions. I had them here. Okay. Daria was asking. We will share the legal text which talks about this. But Daria was asking, what are the deadlines for submission of the classification and labeling notifications?
Anton,
Deadline is the 15th of November 2025.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. And there was an unclarity or uncertainty. Who should be submitting the classification and labeling notification in case of an only representative? So if there is a non-Ukrainian exporter to Ukraine appointing an only representative, who should be submitting the CNL notification in that case?
In this case, Ukrainian importer should submit such CNL notification. But he will ask foreign manufacturer to give him the data in order to fulfill this task.
Yeah. So of course, the only representative can help with that or prepare it, but the obligation lies with the importer. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. And so that's basically on the same side as Elena was asking. Elena was asking if she understood correctly that notification is only applicable for Ukrainian importers and manufacturers, not for the only representative. That's correct, right? Thank you. We covered the timelines, and let's give space to the questions in Ukrainian. So we can extend this webinar to for another maybe 15 minutes. But from my side, I guess that will be all because I cannot understand and speak Ukrainian. I can read a little bit, but not too much. So I will leave it to you, Anton, and Inessa.
Да. Ну, питання про які наслідки для компаній, які не пройдуть при реєстрацію. Наслідки такі, що може бути вилучена, наприклад, продукція з ринку. Тобто санкції, передбачені законом про забезпечення хімічної безпеки і управління хімічною продукцією, вони можуть бути різними. Вони можуть бути приписами, штрафами, можуть бути вилученням з ринку, припиненням виробництва і так далі. Якщо це стосується міжкордонного перевезення, наприклад, і так далі, транзакцій, то митна служба просто не пропустить імпорт такої продукції через кордон або не розмитнить просто. І наслідок зрозумілий. Щодо державної донорської підтримки для українських компаній у проходженні реєстрації. Ну, наскільки я знаю, що державну підтримку тільки Міндовкілля і здійснює. Вони проводять свої вебінари, можливо, розроблять якісь керівництва, але це єдина підтримка, яка можна отримати від держави для українських компаній при проходженні реєстрації. І третє питання про успішно зареєстровані. Так, вже є успішні реєстрації. Наприклад, Regartis вже зареєструвала як уповноважений представник іноземного виробника, компанія отримала номери попередньої реєстрації, і інші компанії, які подали заповнені форми попередньої реєстрації, вже отримують номери. Деякі отримали. Ті, хто подав, ті отримали. So I think I've answered those questions.
Yeah.
Как правильно проводить предварительную регистрацию опасных веществ? Ну, різниці немає. Чи небезпечні ці речовини, чи не класифіковані як небезпечні. Тобто правильно, це треба правильно заповнити форму, всі дані внести і подати до Міндовкілля. The next, please. If there are. Какие требования выдвигаются к экспертам, которым, согласно регламенту, должны проверять информацию, направленную? Требований, каких? Профессионализм, наверное, требования. И то это не требование, а это требование может выдвигать только тот, хто заказує этого експерта. Якщо ви довіряєте своєму експерту, то у вас буде все гарно. Ну і все. А серйозних вимог ніяких немає для експерту. Maybe next. Так, треба розраховувати середньорічний тонаж за останні 3 календарні роки. Якщо одна і та ж речовина міститься у складі інших імпортованих сумішей, то тонаж треба просто додавати. Тобто суму індивідуального тонажу цієї речовини у різних сумішах або різній продукції. Також, якщо немає даних за останні 3 календарні роки, наприклад, якщо було тільки 2 роки постачання, то можна розрахувати за 2 середній або оціночно зробити. Окей, next. Реєстрація спрощеної процедури. Не треба взагалі реєстрацію називати спрощеною процедурою. Ця процедура називається реєстрація хімічної речовини, яка зареєстрована в Європейському Союзі. Інеса розповідала про те, що це не спрощена процедура взагалі. Треба робити повну реєстрацію. Так, окей. I think
Yes.
I've answered that.
Thank you very much, Anton, and thank you for covering all the questions that we selected. There were a few more which were more specific, so we will get back to those in our Q&A sheet after the webinar. So thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you, Anton and Inessa, for providing such great information and insights. And I would also like to thank everybody who joined today. And of course, we will keep monitoring the situation. We will keep you up to date. And don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions you might have. And our team of roughly 5 people focusing now on Ukrainian reach is ready to help. And also, if you have any other questions concerning global compliance with your chemicals, we are more than happy to get back to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And
Thank
enjoy the day. Thank you,
Yes.
Anton.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.